Good evening, Hammers. It's a good day to be one. The Spurs have been seen off at their place. What a day. And here to help us all celebrate. Luke, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, my man. I'm good. I'm very good after last night.
Yeah,
Feel so
it's a different feeling when you wake up the morning after beating Tottenham away, isn't it?
is indeed.
Yeah.
Man.
So before we get started on that, we're going to have a look. Oh, hello, shitbag. Happy Hamlet's in. How you doing? Oh, she abuses me. Don't you worry. See the message. Just
No
see the
doubt.
messages,
No doubt.
messages I got from her the other day. Fresh Fielder, how are you, mate? Good to see you. Another regular. Alan Dunn's in the house. Evening, Alan. Yes, exactly. Great day to be a hammer. And I think that's it for the comments for now. So nice quick one. And apart from Happy Hammer saying hi. Yeah. But obviously, look, a great result. And to be honest, Luke, however we get a result against Tottenham, you take it. It's one of those games. It's kind of almost like a cup final where it's like just win it. However you do it, just if you come away with the win, you're happy and you can kind of almost forget about the performance after you. Once it's over and you've got the 3 points and Tottenham have been beaten, then you're kind of just happy regardless, and you don't really care so much about how you got there. And we will talk about that, but for posterity. But you don't really care how you got there. Just the fact that you got there against Tottenham, you beat them at their place. It's good where they changed the name at 3 Point Lane.
I think it was because the first half was so dreadful, wasn't it, as well? You sort of, in your head, you're thinking, there's no way if we come out like this in the second half, we're going to get any kind of result here.
Yeah.
Especially when Paqueta's missed that chance just before half time. You're just thinking to yourself, this ain't going to be our night. Basically, we've had it. They're 1-0 up. There's no. And I always find, I think a few other people I know have always said this as well. West Ham don't seem to be the team that gets the luck. The ball never drops for us. If there's a mistake from the other team, we never really capitalise on it, or the ball doesn't drop in our way. And we probably could not have asked for two better mistakes from. I mean, the first one was really a mistake. It was a ricochet. There's nothing they could do about it. But we don't get that normally. And especially if we do get that, we haven't got players good enough to finish it off and capitalise on it. So, yeah, it was one of those games where, because of the first half, I think that getting the goal early as well helped in the second half for us to put that performance in, give us a boost and the confidence and etc. So, yeah, we got the luck.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah, the thing with that first half is that it was essentially just an entirely defensive display. We just offered absolutely nothing in attack. We couldn't string two passes together. I think at one point we had like 10% possession. We just could do nothing with it. And we were just kind of hanging on grimly. And I suppose the goal, when it did come, almost kind of felt inevitable, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. They started really strong in the first half, and cheers, Al.
Thanks very much, Alan. Much appreciated, bud. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I felt Fabianski could have done better for their first goal. To be fair, I don't know how you felt about
that. Yeah, I was surprised a little bit. His reaction seemed to be quite slow, and he seemed to start off for me a little bit shaky. There was another time there when a ball was played through and he needed to come out and kind of dive at the feet of the oncoming attacker, and it seemed to me like he was. Now he did get the block in it eventually, but it just seemed to me again just a bit slow off the mark. So I think he did look a bit slow, and I was surprised he didn't make a better attempt at saving the header, but I'm not sure he could have got there anyway.
He
but
probably couldn't. But I think
it just felt like he was just didn't react.
He thought he was going over or wide, and then left it. And he that's my only criticism of him, by the way. I think for someone to step in, he's an experienced goalkeeper. It was a wet night as well, so ricochets, etc. So I think he done really well last night. Filled in Fabianski perfectly. One of his best games for us last night. I think he didn't even have to do much. Just when he was called upon, he was there. So well done, Fab. Brilliant.
Yeah, but in fairness, overall he did have a great game and possibly man of the match performance from Fabianski because albeit he wasn't stretched too often, so I don't think he had anything to do that was too brilliant as regards shots. I think they
No,
were all very savable. But what he did do well is he came and punched a couple of good clearances and come
which
and
never
collect.
normally does either. To be fair, does he? Never normally really comes out, punches the ball away. So
Yeah, normally that's kind of a weak point for him.
yeah,
He's a bit like Dracula, where he's afraid of crosses. And so I thought he actually did quite well on the corners and crosses last night. Came out and cleared some good balls. Came out and collected a few as well. There was one actually particular shot where I think he did really well to hold on to the ball in the conditions, that he didn't spill it. Because there was an inrushing Tottenham player who might have picked up any spill, but he held on to it very well in the rain. So I thought Fabianski overall was really good and definite man of the match contender. He was definitely probably our most consistent player over the 90 minutes, really, given how poor we were really in the first half. And not just, even Paqueta, first half, I thought, Jesus, what's going on here? He looked like he wasn't right, or either physically or mentally, that he just wasn't right in that first half.
I don't think he has been for a little while, has he now? I don't think he has been for a little while now.
Yeah, but
Good few
I just thought he looked miles off it in the first half. His touch deserted him, like in first some really poor touches in the first half, give the ball away a few times, and I mean there was. If it wasn't Lucas Paqueta, I probably would have been saying, we might want to get him off at halftime. And certainly I felt, even given that it was Lucas Paqueta, if he'd have continued like that, 10 minutes into the second half, I would have said, you know what, just get him off, because for whatever reason, he's just not right. And he was so poor. But thankfully, second half was a completely different story. We were still largely defensive, but at least in the second half, we were actually being more positive in the sense that we were closing them down higher up the pitch. We were actually trying to get in their faces more, make it more difficult for them to get out of their own half. And it worked a treat because they essentially gifted us an equaliser. It was a ricochet, but, a powerful low drive, excuse me, about 20 yards out, maybe from Kudus, which ricocheted of two Tottenham defenders and then fell right into the path of Bowen, who didn't realise the ball was there for a minute. He kind of looked back and then kind of realised, oh, it's here.
Yeah.
So he probably didn't have a clue how it ended up there. But once he did, he set himself very quickly and hit an unstoppable shot high into the net. And all of a sudden, really just out of nothing, Luke, we were right back in the game, and just what we needed, a goal, quite early in the second half.
Yeah, they what I liked about it was Kudus had a shot. We're normally quite a shot shy team, and that's what happens sometimes. You got to try your luck. It could have been blocked, could have come straight back out again, but at least Kudus is one of them players. He wants to try his luck. He wants to try and work out the defence. Takes him a little while sometimes, but he's got it in him to go. No, I'm gonna see how strong you are. And he was fantastic in the first half, by a mile the best player in the first half. Second half, I think he got tired. I think he got a bit frustrated with Soucek a couple of times, but no, he done well to make to work, as did Bowen. Woke up as soon as the ball took the deflections, etc. And then weak foot, 50 goals for West Ham. I wanted him when he was at Hull. I couldn't believe West Ham were linked with him at the time. Went and got him. He's been brilliant for us ever since. He's had a dipping form here and there, but overall he's been. I still don't really think of him as a striker. I don't think of him as an all-out striker. And I don't really want to see him in that role all the time. I think it will suit certain games and certain defensives because he was a bit of everywhere this last night. He wasn't just a striker. He was winger, and then he was, attacking mid, centre forward, whatever you want to name it. And he just took advantage of a lapse in concentration or whatever you want to call it, and seized upon it. And then, he was very clever for the second goal as well. The way he avoided that, because he would have been offside, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is, it was a poor back pass from their fullback. I can't remember his name.
Doggy? Is it Doggy, or was it?
Yeah, his name is it Destiny and
Doggy, yeah.
But the thing was, before I realised, I kind of had an instant reaction that I wanted the indirect free kick in the penalty area because the keeper punched it. It was a back pass, so the keeper's not allowed to touch that with his hands, and he's punched it. And I was just like going to shout for the indirect free kick in the box, and then I see Ward-Prowse is coming onto it, hit a lovely shot past the keeper. Unfortunately, hit the post, but fortunately came straight back to him. And sometimes, you just need a bit of luck.
That's luck, mate. We don't get that luck normally. So
no, we don't normally get that. Normally that hits the post and goes straight back to the keeper.
Oh, 100%. The funny thing was, I was watching the highlights. I can't remember what it was now. I think it might have been on Prime or one of the others. But Andy Townsend was the co-commentator for our game. And he was criticising their goalkeeper for not handling it, for not getting hands in, being braver. And I was like, you've got a co-commentator here. You recently got Joey Barton out on Twitter slagging off women for having opinion on football, and he doesn't. And this guy doesn't even know the rules. So
doesn't know that you can't fucking collect the back pass.
No, exactly, ridiculous.
Ridiculous, but
assisted himself for the goal and then got the goal. So fair play.
Yeah.
He was,
so he played a 1-2 off the post and a self-assist. So he's so good he assists himself.
Exactly. That's what he does. That's what he does. Got to get it really.
Yeah, exactly. But as you say, Bowen did really well to be self-aware enough to just leave it alone and kind of run away from it. And Ward-Prowse obviously couldn't miss the second attempt. But it was incredibly Spursy, really, that second half. But we made our own luck too. We did actually press them high up the pitch, which we hadn't done whatsoever in the first half. Because I tweeted kind of during the first half, I think maybe midway through, that we were showing them far too much respect. I mean, that was not a great Tottenham 11 that was on the pitch. It just wasn't. I mean, Brennan Johnson, I don't know why they paid so much money for him. I mean, he's an okay player, but when they paid serious money. It was at 60 million or something for Brennan Johnson, something stupid.
Yeah.
It was in the boat, maybe 50. So it was something really ridiculous, or 50 million or something for him. And I was thinking, what's that about? Decent player, but Jesus, I mean, he wasn't even the best player at Forest. I mean,
I think he's probably one of them players that needs better players to complement his game. I'm not going to go here and start waxing lyrical about players. I think when he was at Forest, there was him and Gibbs White, who was bought for a similar amount of money. And he was the better one of the two, I believe. If not, the Forest fans are watching this, they can correct me or whatever. But
he couldn't. I don't think he could fucking. He's not fit to lace Gibbs White's boots, in my opinion. Honestly, I think Gibbs White is a far superior player to Brennan. Far superior. But look, that's for another day, I guess. But I mean, Brennan Johnson last night was what I think Brennan Johnson pretty much is. He's an okay player. He's decent, but like you say, I think you're spot on. I think he needs really good players around him to make him look better, to be completely honest. But anyway, that's good for us last night because he did get some shots off, Brennan Johnson, and they were all like weak, kind of pathetic shots, really. They were kind of like Ben Rama style shots, weren't they? Just those low drives that are just really weak and just kind of pathetic looking. But anyway, 2-1 up, and really, I mean, even though we were still kind of defending a lot, you never really felt in a whole lot of danger. I mean, I think the only other kind of proper heart and mouth kind of moment was Richarlison's header. Which he absolutely should have buried. But I remember when he came on, I said to Sinead and my son Jason, who were both here watching it with me, I said, they're bringing on Richarlison. I mean, this lot have got nothing left. I said, he's absolutely not going to score.
Well, it's funny because I think I automatically thought back to the Sheffield United game when they won it in the last 2 minutes of added time. I think Richarlison got one of the goals, didn't he? And I thought, don't do this. Don't do a lucky Richarlison thing where he comes on and scores at death, stuff like that. I mean, you might say to me that, we were pretty comfortable, but I felt the complete opposite because I was just heart in mouth for at least the last 10 minutes. Every time Kulusevski got the ball on the right, I was thinking to myself, what was going to do now? As much as I loved the fact that all the players were backs to the wall and fighting for every block, etc. But I don't think I can handle that every week. If we're that far, we might be good at it, fair play, but this is West Ham. I'm always worried that we're going to concede a goal. And yesterday was fantastic to experience, but the last 10 minutes was like heart in mouth. And
yeah, I don't know. I know we were defending. I know they were pressing. They were looking for an equaliser, but I don't know. The way they were playing, they weren't, apart from the Richarlison one, they weren't really opening us up. Like, we were defending very stoically. We're getting the blocks in. Bowen made a brilliant sliding block for one occasion, and I just felt like the way things had gone, that it was just going to be our night.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, Spurs are just going to be Spursy again, and that'll be it. Thankfully, it panned out that way. But if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind actually going through the players individually. Maybe just do a kind of player rating, and I'll get yours first, and then I'll give mine. We'll start with Fabianski, obviously. Over the 90 minutes, what was your review of him?
Give him an 8. Give him an 8. I would go for a 7, but I think he's just done enough to push himself up to an 8. Yeah.
Yeah, he made some smart saves, like I say, and I thought he was actually more commanding than he usually is in the air. Usually, you're a bit worried about him, when he has to come out to try and deal with crosses and corners. But he was pretty flawless on those last night. He didn't really have any scary moments. Obviously, look, his distribution isn't the best at times. But yeah, I think in the circumstances, given that he did have to deal with a lot of shots, and they did get a lot of crosses, and they had a few corners, and I think 8's fair enough. So I think I'll take Soufal. I thought Soufal was solid actually throughout. I thought even in the first half, I thought he did pretty well. I know Brennan Johnson got into some half decent positions, but he never skinned Soufal or got goal side of him really. All of his shots were like from the outside in front of Soufal, so he always had him kind of there, So I thought over the 90 minutes, I think Soufal really didn't do a whole lot wrong. He was pretty solid and steady. So I think that was a good solid kind of 7, I would say, overall over the 90 minutes. And obviously, particularly in the first half, had to do a hell of a lot of defending. It was pretty solid, I think. A 7, I think, is probably fair for Soufal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he had an all right game. He wasn't one of his best, but like you said, they didn't really attack down that side very much. You're probably quite right. There was a couple of times I think he was going full for Kudus, and he just wasn't on Kudus's wavelength, and it started to annoy Mo a little bit. And I think he done his job in the day. I'll go ahead with your rating because I haven't really got a rating for him. To be fair, I think I wouldn't argue with the one you've just given him. We won the game in the day and didn't concede more than one goal, so. Yeah, you're right. I think.
Yeah, let's say nothing spectacular, but did his job quite well. So I will give you the captain, Kurt Zouma. What did you make of his return?
I didn't really put a foot wrong. I mean, even I know he tried to score an own goal, the best he could in the first half, but yeah, hit the post with a clearance. He's don't know, quietly had a good game. I think maybe I like Mavropanos, but I think he obviously had a bit of a dodgy game in the last one. So this one, maybe we needed a bit of a cooler head at the back to, keep good communication with Aged. And I'd say a 7 for him as well, because I didn't see anything spectacular, but I didn't see anything bad either. So, like I said, very close to getting the own goal. You probably would have got a 2 if he scored the own goal, but he's got one leg and he does very well on that one leg. So fair play to him, 7 from me.
Yeah, to be fair, like his left leg's got no interest in football whatsoever. It just doesn't want to be there, does it? Really? Um, so
He's got the heaviest leg in
yeah, his left leg is like, when you have a dog and it doesn't like going on walks and you have to like drag it along on the lead. That's
exactly.
that's Zuma's left leg.
Man, it's professional footballer.
Just not interested.
I don't know. I think we'd have finished most careers because I don't know how he's playing at the highest level with a leg like that. Fair play to him. I admire him because a lot of footballers would have packed it in by now and kept it, but he's a machine. So fair play to him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he did. He was pretty solid. He's definitely better with his back to goal with everything out in front of him. He gets a lot of blocks in, a lot of clearing headers, interceptions and stuff like that. So he's definitely at his best. I would not want to see Zuma with a high line. It happened a couple of times in the game where we pushed up a bit and Aguerd kind of had to bail him out by racing back and cutting off a through ball because Zuma was absolutely not getting there. So definitely couldn't put him in a team where you're playing a high line. But in and around the box with his back to goal and everything kind of out in front of him, he's very solid. I'll take Aguerd. I thought Aguerd kind of had one of his better games of the season. I think any game where he doesn't have a howler, you're kind of happy.
Yeah. He almost had one. He almost had one. There was one in the second half where he went to block it and he came off his foot and went quite close to Fabianski's goal, but it didn't go in. So, done his job.
Yeah. So again, pretty solid. No errors. Made a couple of really good challenges as well, sliding challenges. Shielded the ball well when they were trying to play through balls. He was getting between the Tottenham forward and the keeper and just shepherding it back to Fabianski. So again, thought he had a good game. Obviously, didn't have to do anything spectacular because Tottenham's attacking play was quite limited. They didn't really seem to have too many ideas, Tottenham, about how to really break us down. Like I said, they only scored one goal from a set piece. The defender, the centre back, scored it. So, I think a 7 as well there for Aguerd. Solid game, but again, nothing too spectacular. Emerson Palmieri, what do you think of him?
I'd give him an 8 or a 9. I think he's quietly hammer of the year. I don't think people realise how much work he does on that left-hand side. He's been fantastic for us near enough the whole season so far. And obviously the second half of last season, probably even more than that. He was brilliant down left-hand side. He's not... It's because he works really well with Paqueta, but he hasn't got the same flair because he doesn't need to have the flair, but he just does the work. But he does it gracefully, if you get what I mean. When you watch him, he's like fluid and he's poetry in motion, and there's nothing about him that you go, there's nothing you think he looks a bit dodgy here. He just seems to be, there's a calmness to his play, but he still does it effortlessly, and he's one of the best left backs I think I've ever seen at West Ham for what he does. He's clever as well. I think he's got a good football brain. Like Paqueta, he knows how to win a free kick, and he won a brilliant one last. I think he almost led to the goal. For me, he was my man of the match last night. I know Bowen did really well. Ward-Prowse, you name them, they all put in a good shift, but just quietly does it. He's not, doesn't put up trees, doesn't have to get out the wing all game and swing crosses in and make really big tackles. He just does it quietly. Doesn't put up any trees. Just does it with a calm. And I'm repeating the same words. I can't think of anything else to describe him, but he is for me one of the best, if not the best, left backs in the league. And I know that people who are West Ham fans are going to watch this and go, that's a ridiculous thing to say. But you watch him. Seriously, same thing as when Rice went to Arsenal. I had loads of people saying to me, "Oh, he's not worth 100 million. He's not this. He's not that. Not as good as Partey, whatever." I say, you watch him, and you'll realise what I'm talking about. And if any non-West Ham fans are watching this and they're thinking that I'm talking shit where Emerson's concerned, somehow go and watch full stream highlights, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Every game is reliable. I mean, when he doesn't play, you miss him. So for me, man of the match, 9. I'm going to give him a 9. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was going to say I would give him a 9 and give him the man of the match as well. And the reason I'd push him from an 8 to a 9 is because of the first half. The first half, Paqueta was all over the fucking place on that left-hand side. And he put Emerson, he made life more difficult for Emerson than it needed to be in that first half. And I thought the way Emerson stood up to it was absolutely brilliant. I thought he was fantastic in that first half, particularly. Thankfully, second half, Paqueta kind of sorted himself out a bit and was given a bit more help back there to Emerson. But in the first half, Emerson was just hung out to dry a little bit by Paqueta, I have to say, and he stood up to it brilliantly. But yeah, I mean, when we signed him, I thought, oh, it's an interesting one, because he was kind of off the radar because he wasn't being played at Chelsea. He was kind of like a forgotten player, really. And then we signed him, and I thought, all right, I always thought he was a kind of a decent player, and I thought he was older than he was. To be honest, I didn't realize he was actually still kind of in his prime, and I was
How
like,
old is he now?
well, when we signed him, I think he was only like 26 or something.
Wow, fair enough. I think he's a little bit older than that, so yeah, you might.
So did I. I thought he was older. I think he's what is he now, 28 or something? Yeah, I thought it was an almost flawless performance from Emerson last night, and not just defensively. I mean, there's times getting forward as well where he's absolutely brilliant. He went on a mazy run as well last night, and you remember that, beat a couple of players and stuff, and he's capable of that too. And like I say, he's low key becoming a Hammer of the Year contender, and he doesn't have very many bad games where you think, Christ, Emerson's had a mare there. Today. He's so solid, so reliable. I've been so impressed with him since he joined. I mean, and he's grown into it too, because it shows the difference when you play someone week in, week out. Someone who has talent, and they'll grow into the game. He wasn't being played at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And you see now, like, Chelsea is where players' careers go to die. So, and that was what was happening to Emerson. And when you consider just how good he is, when Chelsea were playing Champions League, Emerson would not have looked out of place whatsoever in a big Champions League game, a quarter-final or a semi-final. He would more than been able to hold his own. He's that good a player, and he's so experienced. He's won so many trophies.
He's won them all, hasn't he?
Champions League with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Won the Europa League. He's won the Euros with Italy. So a fantastic player, man of the match, and a 9. Absolutely agree. I love Emerson. We'll go into midfield. I'm going to take James Ward-Prowse. Thought he had a really good game. He's a different player. Second half, he was a completely different player because he was allowed to actually play in a more advanced role. When you play him deep, when he has to sit in alongside Alvarez, it's just not his game, and he looks lost. He just doesn't impact the game. He doesn't get into it. Isn't able to really get involved. Isn't able to have any kind of effect on our play. But in the second half, it was much, much better. Obviously scored the goal, which was huge. I mean, the winner at Tottenham. I mean, he'll never be forgotten just for that.
Folklore.
If you're like, we still see every once in a while it pops up on Twitter, like Ravel Morrison's goal at Tottenham, because he was away at Tottenham and we beat them, and it was, even though Ravel's story at West Ham, that's about it. That's what we remember, really. Obiang's screamer, everyone that pops up every once in a while.
Maiga as well. Maiga.
Yeah, and so JWP now has cemented himself as someone that goal alone will pop up for years. Like whenever we play them away, when there's a little compilation of us scoring winners against Tottenham, like he's in there now for the rest of eternity. But yeah, I thought second half, I thought he was really good in that more advanced role. So I'm going to give him a 7. I know he scored the winner and all that, but because of the first half, and to be honest, I don't really blame him. I think that he shouldn't be playing that deep. But but that's what he was asked to do. Obviously, we were told, look, just sit back, soak it up, and all that, you know. But for the second half, I think the 7 is probably about right. 8 seems a bit strong, to me, but because the first half was kind of a non-event for him, really. So I think 7 is about fair. What do you think?
I'd be a bit strong here, and I'd say an 8, purely because
you'd have to give it only on the strength of the second half, really.
You can, but it's funny because I don't know if you're getting at with the blocked cross that went out for the corner was led to their goal, but that's him doing his job, and it wasn't his fault that they scored from the resulting corner. He done well to clear it in the first place. That's the defender's job, if anything. But I think the reason why I'm also giving him an 8 is the fact that he's received a lot of criticism recently from a lot of West Ham fans because of his performances, and I don't think people realise the fact that I think I said it last night. I've said it a few times on channels that when you have a really good start to a season and you fizzle out, it's normally due to one or two things, and what it's either that the Premier League has worked you out and you've got to reinvent yourself to an extent, or the manager changes something about you, positioning, instructions, etc. And I think he's been changed by the manager for whatever reason. I'm not going to go on a Moyes out rant. Fair play for last night. Changed it around. Whoever changed it around, him, his coaches, the players. I don't know who done it. All three. Last night he was back to the Ward-Prowse in the second half of old. But then every player was. This is the thing that I know we're doing individual player ratings, but you're more than entitled to say that he had a poor first half, but then so did all the players, realistically, apart from Kudus. Second half, like all the players, he upped the tempo at least 5 times, 10 times, and he just played a lot better. I think it's when he gets the ball and when he plays him deep, if you actually watch Ward-Prowse, he looks, I don't know if he's being told to do it, but he looks for the Hollywood ball, he looks for the long stretch ball, pass it wide. When he's forward, he's given the opportunity to use his radar and have a look for wingers on running or forward making a run. And with the passing he's got, he's fantastic at it. And for £30 million, I think he's a bargain. I didn't really want him because I thought he was going to be a classic Moyes signing, just want him for the free kicks and everything. But I think Southampton fans will either agree with us or say I told you so or whatever. But he's a better player than just for free kicks, which he'll never score for West Ham, I reckon, which would be typical.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
But no, he gets an 8 from me, and well done for the goal.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it's a bit strong, but I think I won't argue.
No, I don't care what you say.
Yeah, I won't argue. You're giving him a kind of snuggle points, but you're a big softy here.
I but I want to be.
Yeah, but yeah, given the fact that he scored the winner away at Tottenham, I won't argue over an 8 for him. But okay, so I will give you Alvarez.
I think he was at one of his better games. He did. I think he tries to get in there, and I watched him a little bit actually, especially in the first half. I think he was sort of chasing shadows a little bit, trying to tackle players, and wasn't really getting at it. But what Alvarez does is he does the hard graft, and he does it like an engine. He never stops, and he used to love getting a yellow card. I think he's realised now that if he tears around like he would do at the start of the season, he'll be getting suspensions here, there, and everywhere. I don't know if one of the coaches or Moyes has told him to pack it in or whatever, or just calm down. But he made some fantastic blocks yesterday, and players like him, you won't realise they've had a good game because there's nothing about what they do isn't pretty, it isn't easy on the eye. It's just they do the hard work. They maintain everything, and I think possibly it's the reason why Zuma and Aguirre had good games as well yesterday, or even Ward-Prowse, because he done the high graft in the second half, made some fantastic blocks, like I said, and when you've got that allows you that when you have an attack, you can push on. So he gets a 7 from me. No more than that. Won't annoy you by giving him an 8. But you
can. But it was just not that kind of performance from the team in general, really. But but players are losing points for that first half. I think a lot of them. So I think overall 7 is fair. I thought first half, I thought he looked a bit kind of at sea as well at times, chasing shadows a bit, as you said. So I thought first half was kind of probably more like a 5, but I thought he improved massively second half. He was a different player. There's a lot of our players were second half, as it turned out. So I think 7 is about fair overall. I don't like half points, but 6.5 is maybe around.
Yeah, I'm not a hard point lover either, to be fair. So
yeah, so we if we're not going half points, I think for his second half, I think 7 is roughly right. So I think we had James there for a second, but we lost him. Maybe he'll pop back on again. We'll bring him in. Okay, I'll take Thomas Soucek. Again, actually, before I do, I'm going to bring James in. So, James, how are you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
hello,
Good.
mate.
Thanks for joining. Good to see you. So we're doing the player ratings.
Right.
So to get you caught up, I'm just gonna tell you the player, and just without any explanation, just give me a number, and then when we get up to where we are, you can start explaining your ratings.
worries.
So, quick rating for Fabianski.
High 7. No, 7. 7 for me.
7 for
He was
Fabianski. Safal,
right. 6.
6, and Zuma,
High 6 for me. Close to 7.
and Aguirre,
7 for one of his better games.
Emerson,
8. Superb.
8 for Emerson. Yeah, he was excellent. Then we have Alvarez,
6.
JWP,
High 7.
and now we're on to Soucek. So,
Yeah.
why don't you lead on Soucek, James?
I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay. I thought first half the whole team was crap. I'm not gonna lie. It was one of the worst performances I've seen. And listen, when people say about style of play, right, I'm convinced. Second half, he was good. Like they was as a collective, they was good. I'll give Soucek. I'll give mine short and sweet. I'll give him a solid 6. I don't think it's a 7, but I don't think it's a 5. So 6, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was one of his quieter games this season. Soucek, like I say, first half, nobody's getting, apart from maybe Fabianski and Emerson, who I thought were both really good first half. No one really covered themselves in too much glory in that first half. And Soucek was no different. Very quiet first half, didn't do anything of any note, really. But like the rest of the team, second half picked it up a bit. But again, really just trying to think about Soucek. I remember he had one shot that was very well saved, but was offside. Other than that, I can't really think of an awful lot that I remember about Soucek from last night. So I think a 6 is about right for me too. One of his quieter games this season. How did you see Soucek's performance, Luke?
I didn't really know he was playing, to be fair, especially second half. First half, we kept putting the game plan was obviously to boot the ball up to him, and he could hit it on the Bowen or whatever. But he had his most quiet game for what we normally ask with him, and I think an average rating probably. I'll go with the 6. I don't want to be too harsh and go much below that. But he did not do anything. I didn't look at him and thought, no, he's having a bad game. Didn't look at him having a bad game. I think the other players probably took more attention of me or of other fans than he did. Which I think is maybe quite a good thing, because sometimes we rely on him a bit too much to do things that he's not capable of doing. So he's not scored in a couple of games, so he needs to improve that. But again, I'm being asked. So he was a ghost yesterday, but a good ghost, if you catch my drift. So
yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We're on to the front three. I'm going to take Paqueta because
I need to take him.
I'll tell you why. Because I always like to try and be fair. And I am a huge fan of Lucas Paqueta. Absolutely fucking love the bloke. But that first half, he was absolute dog shit. He was absolute dog shit. He had the touch of a trampoline. You know what the balls he gave away was? His touch was all over the place. He was putting Emerson under incredible pressure in that first half. I couldn't tell if he was playing with an injury or if he was completely just disinterested and his head wasn't in it. But he was absolutely shambolic, I thought, in the first half. And if he wasn't Lucas Paqueta, I probably would have been like screaming for him to be taken off at the break. To be completely honest, he was that bad. Probably his worst performance for West Ham in that first half was just dreadful. Second half, though, he picked it up. Still didn't think it was brilliant, but he at least picked it up in the second half. He looked a bit more like the Lucas Paqueta we know, in as much as he was starting to get. He looked interested at least. Second half, he started to close down, started to get involved physically in the game, made challenges, challenged in the air, challenged on the ground for the ball, actually gave his best friend Emerson a bit of fucking help. Second half, he was getting back into that position and making it. He was much more obvious. Didn't really do much of anything in attack. Played a couple of nice balls forward, but on the whole, I thought I'd be honest, and I can't give Paqueta any more than a 5 for his performance last night. I thought it was so bad in the first half, even given the improvement in the second half. For me, still only brought him up to a 5. I know some people might say it's a bit harsh, but that's my honest opinion. James?
Shocking, mate. He was shit in the first half, trust me. Absolute awful. I don't know what you long last night, and I had to go through, like, literally keep cursing at him to run back, pass the ball, and look actually interested. I thought he was shocking. I really did. When this argument, when people say he's world class, I just don't have it. I just can't have it because world class players don't put in them sort of 1 out of 10 performances in the first half. And it was bad. It was really, really bad. Second half, I agree, a lot better. He seemed like he had a kick up the arse in the second half. It seemed like they all had a kick up the arse in the second half, and he come out and he was a completely different player. So give him some credit there. I'm around your mark, 5 to make it easier. I will go with 5.
Luke?
Yeah, I think 5's pretty decent. Pretty deserved, to be fair. He like I said, he put up. I think he only really put up when we were winning. He's like still doing the shit out of like trying to win free kicks, trying to hold players off. He's sort of lost that. When we played Liverpool away, and the Liverpool fans were clapping him off because he played so well. He hasn't given. He won't give up on trying to do the tricks and the skills and stuff like that. But there's a time to do them. I do think he's a world class player when he's on form and when he like. I know what you're saying because if you're world class, you're consistent. You don't tend to have bad games when you're world class. But when he's on form, he's good. The trouble is he hasn't been like that for the last God knows how many games.
He has so he probably has world class abilities.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
The only thing I would say to you there, Luke, is when you look at Deck last year for us and over the last few years with us, you can see how consistent he was, and you could say, and we all used to say it as fans, Declan Rice is world class. Yeah, with Paqueta, I just don't see it yet. I just don't see him turning games on his own just yet. Like, I think there's a type of game like yesterday's game. Biggest game of the season for West Ham fan. Like any West Ham fan would say, like, what's the first game you look at in the fixture list? Tottenham, when we got Tottenham at White Hart Lane. And when he puts in a performance like that in the first half, that was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't believe he's world class just yet.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's a discussion for another day. But right, I'll be nice to you, Luke. I'll give you your choice of Bowen or Kudus.
I'll go with Kudus, actually. I'll go with Kudus. I think the first half, he was the best player by a mile, trying everything. Didn't always come off, but he was. I don't think we realised how strong he actually is, and the strength was highlighted towards the end of the second half when he, knocked the Tottenham defender on his arse, and then put a fantastic ball in for Paqueta, but didn't get it. He either got frustrated or he got knackered, or both in the second half, because he wasn't really the same player, but he still did cause the first goal with the shot. And I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's world class just as much as Paqueta is. Like on his day, like when he's going good, He's he's invaluable to us when he's going through it. And I think he's one of the players where the rest of the team might not be pulling up trees, but he'll just do something where he'll beat a few players and then have a shot, and that'll cause something for us. And those players are invaluable in a team. So I felt sorry for him in the first half, because I think he was the only one that was either running his arse off, trying to make things happen. In the second half, I think he'd got frustrated. He was having to go to foul a couple of times, like I mentioned earlier. So I think I'm going to give him a 7 based on the fact that his first half performance. I don't think he was the same player second half. Like I said, a 7 going on to an 8 because he caused the shot that, had the shot that ricocheted and then led to Bowen scoring. So fantastic player. I love him. First half, fantastic. Second half, less of it, but still brilliant player. And I won't go above 7, but if I wouldn't say no if someone said 8.
James.
High 7 for me, mate. I thought first half he was the only one with the attacking outlet that we had. Do you know what I mean? He the geezer picks the ball up and it just sticks to him like glue. Yeah, that's one thing I will say. And he's power, pace, and drive, and he don't mind having the shot either. I thought second half, I agree with what Luke's saying, but I thought everyone turned up in the second half, and that's why it sort of nullified him. Whereas in the first half, he was the only one there doing anything, and the rest of them were crap, let's be honest. But I think Tottenham looked at him in the second half and tried to isolate him in the second half, and he was quiet, don't get me wrong, but everyone else came to the party in the second half, which was amazing. So high 7 for me. Decent player. He's getting better and better. And I think if we can get someone on the left-hand side as good as him, we're cooking.
Yeah, I agree. Kudus, he obviously has a really good attitude as well. I like Kudus's attitude. Doesn't complain. First half must have been very frustrating for a lot of the players, particularly attacking players, who were really getting absolutely no joy. But he got stuck in and he worked hard and for the team. And every time he gets the ball, you can see he wants to make something happen. No, okay. There was times when he'd try to go past people. Maybe there were 3 players around him, and maybe we would get dispossessed. But really, at that point, that was all we had. Yeah. There was nobody else really that was kind of trying to take the bull by the horns and make something really happen. Apart from really Kudus, I thought, and maybe Bowen. But I really like Kudus. Just a brilliant footballer, and I think he's going to score a lot of goals, get a lot of assists for us. He's going to cause serious problems for teams. And like you, James, I think it's a really key thing for us now that we get someone on that left-hand side who can be similarly effective as the likes of Bowen or Kudus, because that gives teams another problem to think about. And take a little bit more of the focus off Kudus and Bowen. If you've got another player out on that left-hand side who's going to cause nightmares for teams as well, then they've got a real problem, because you're not going to keep all of them quiet all the time. One of them's going to get through. But I think Kudus is a tremendous player. But again, obviously, he had no joy really first half. We just couldn't get the ball out. So he had no real opportunity to shine. But second half, again, just, really good. And I think 7 is about fair overall. Can't argue with that. So I will give you Bowen, James.
50 goals, mate. What a player. I remember this kid from Hull days, and like when he was playing at Hull and we signed him, I was over the moon. I thought last night, in the first half he was quiet. He's giving the ball away a few times and he was trying to get out, and it was just mayhem in that first half. Second half, completely different player, running off people. I think the goal's excellent. I think he doesn't get a lot of credit for James Ward-Prowse's goal, but look at the press. He's pressing the goalkeeper. He's on to like the error from the defender. Other centre forwards at our club might not be doing that. They might be on there like standing still, but Bowen's always on the move. So I'm going to give him a strong 7 for the goal, and just for what he is, because he's just brilliant at the end of the day.
Yeah, Luke. Bowen
I think the 7/8, but I'll go with 7 because let's face it, we're just doing solid ratings at the minute. He was one of those games where I sort of thought in the first half, again, playing up front, not getting the chances, isn't the right player to play in that position, blah, that as it normally is. Second half, he was the striker that we needed when Antonio's not playing. He was running around, pressing them every opportunity, every sniff of a loose ball, he was chasing after it. Looked knackered about 80 minutes gone. Got the goal. Clever to jump out of the way of all Prowse's shot because he knew he'd be offside if he got in the way, etc. So I've always loved him. I know he's had a dip in form at times here and there, but overall, he's now getting asked to play different positions, and it's testing him as a player, and he's learning, and he's getting more experienced. Took his goal with his weak foot really well. I know it was a one-on-one goal in the end, but he done well to stick it away. And 50 goals says it all for the bloke who come in as a winger. So I'm over the moon for him. He's been fantastic for the club. I think he was missing a goal against Spurs when he hadn't had a goal against Spurs yet. I think that was his first one. So he's in the folklore now, somewhere along the lines, like JWP is.
Plus, first 7 away games of the season he scored in.
Yeah, so he's on the record. He's now. I think he didn't. Did he score? I saw a stat today that said he hasn't scored. He didn't score an away goal last season. So
yeah, we were shocking on the road last season. We won 2 games on the road last season.
So that proves that something's going right for him this season, away from home especially. And we've got Fulham away, another away game in it Sunday. So hopefully he goes and keeps the record going, keeps it alive.
Yeah, because just so you know, he's joint second place now for consecutive goals scored away from home from the beginning of the season. So he's level with, who was it he's level with? Is it Aguero?
And someone else.
Aguero and Bowen 7, but Van Persie's on 9.
Wow.
So if he could get to 9 or 10, that would be unbelievable stuff. But yeah, he's a special player, and I remember I loved him at Hull. And you could see he was the kind of player we needed at the time. And I remember when Palace came in with a bid for him, and this is something I never do, by the way. I actually quote tweeted and tagged David Gold when it came on my Twitter stream that he was that Hull had accepted a bid for Jared Bowen from Crystal Palace, and I quote tweeted it and added David Gold. I said, "You better fucking jump in and hijack this deal." And
you're the reason we signed Jared Bowen.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that's it. I've taken all the credit, but thankfully, that was exactly what the club had intended to do, and they did, and they basically stole him from Crystal Palace, and thank God that they did, because how much he's grown as a player since he joined West Ham is astonishing.
Well, no, Danny Dyer's got to thank you for it, because obviously, she's got the benefits of it as well. So, he's joined the Dyer family now. He's a father, and
I'll tell you what. When we spoke obviously about Noble all those years as Mr. West Ham, I think Bowen is the new Mr. West Ham. You could see it as well after the game, how much fucking love and passion he has for this club, even though he's not the born and raised Hammer. You can see the passion and the love that he has for West Ham. And every time he speaks about West Ham, you can hear it too.
Yeah.
He talks about, he signed the new deal, and they said, "Oh, you signed a new big deal at West Ham." He says, "Yeah, of course. I wouldn't be where I am without West Ham. I wouldn't be playing for England."
He praises the manager as well, doesn't he? He always praises Moyes whenever he gets asked as well. So clearly they've got quite a good relationship. So,
clearly, and I think Jared Bowen genuinely is actually really passionate about playing for West Ham, and you could see when we scored, when he scored, and then when Moore-Prowse scored, and then after the match when he went up to the fans and he's given it, come on, you can see it really means a hell of a lot to him, and I love that passion. It's great to see that from players. I absolutely love Jared Bowen, and I hope he's a player. Normally, you think, we're definitely losing him. But I don't think we are. No. I think he's the kind of player that would actually stick around.
He wants to be the main man. He wants to be the man to lead West Ham into the new era, basically. And for me, him scoring that goal in Prague has made him a bit of a sort of legend in a way, because he would always be remembered for that goal in Prague. Right, whatever happens now, Like if he's here for another 2, 3, 4 years, that guy.
You think about it. The last player to score a goal that important was Trevor Brooking.
Trevor Brooking, yeah. So, like, I just look at it like this. I think he cares. I do. I'm starting to like him in his centre forward role because I'm loving the press on him. Like he's running around. He's non-stop. And he's a very good centre. He's a very good striker of the ball. Like he's decent. He's a decent player, or better than decent. He's very, very good. So I'm very happy with him.
Yeah. So I guess that's the Tottenham game dealt with for now. The one thing, obviously, we've got Fulham away at the weekend. Again, a winnable game, I would say. But the problem we have now is these games are coming really thick and fast. We also have a very, very important game that we cannot lose, must not lose, on Thursday at home to Freiburg. So the question now becomes, do you rest any players on either Sunday or Thursday? If so, for what game do you rest them? I'll tell you, I love being in Europe, and I really, really want to have a go and see if we can go all the way in this competition. We're in a very healthy position in the league. I would rather we rest some key players against Fulham and take our chances. And if we lose it, we lose it. I think it's vitally important that we do not lose on Thursday. Freiburg are going to be very, very motivated to come and top that group. They're going to come looking for the win, and they're a good side. They have absolutely spanked the other teams in the group apart from us. They look a really good side, and we're going to have to take that game very seriously. We're going to need a performance in that game to make sure we don't lose it. I do not want us playing in the round of 32 against one of the teams that drops down from the Champions League. It's 2 extra games as well. I would take a little bit of a gamble on the Fulham game. Fulham are an okay side, but they're not a side that should scare us. I think we'd be capable of resting some players and still getting some kind of result at Fulham, even if it was a point. But that's my opinion. Luke, how would you approach it? Would you just keep playing the same 11 for both games, or?
I see where you're coming from. I don't think Moyes is the type of player to chop and change things too much. I think regardless of whether we want to, he won't do it. He would have done it by now with other games, but he hasn't done it really, realistically. I think.
No, I don't mean wholesale changes.
No, I know. I get where you're coming from. For me, Fulham are doing a bit of form at the minute, and they've got a pretty good front three going at the minute. And I want us to see the momentum in the. We're already through in Europe, aren't we? We're already through.
Yeah,
we're guaranteed to finish top 2. Yeah.
So my point here would be is I understand all sides. I totally understand people who want to win the group, so they want to avoid that other round and have a bye and stuff like that. But the more I think about it, it brings back memories of Sevilla at home. I know it's a different circumstances. I know this isn't our first rodeo now, and it will probably be a lot different for the club. Don't get me wrong, but remembering that Sevilla game, I think, considering the fact that we might be trying to win the Europa League and have the Conference League vibe back again, it's not a guarantee, and there's a long way to go in a competition. There's a part of me that because we're in Europe, I want to enjoy it as much as possible, and I wouldn't mind having a Champions League team that comes down for, depending on who they are. Obviously, you want a glamorous team. You don't want someone who belonged in the Europa League in the first place. But just from a glorified Hollywood West, fan point of view, I'd rather us take the Fulham game more seriously because there's the momentum thing. We're unbeaten now in the league at the minute, and I think that's something to really hold on to going forward. They're just beating Nottingham Forest, 5-0. Some of the players that didn't think were that great are pulling up trees for them.
Well, it has to be said that Forest are absolutely dreadful, though.
No, I get that, but you still got to beat who's in front of you, and we didn't beat them 5-0, so it's. I just feel that I would like us to continue going forward, and Freiburg are good. Don't get me wrong, but we aren't mugs in Europe. We might have just scraped through against Topola, but we still won the game, And even though we didn't win 5-0 like Freiburg, you know me, I've been Moyes out and whatever you want to call it, but there's a lot of people that are Moyes in, and they'll tell you anything that he's an experienced manager in Europe. He's a very good manager in Europe. We hardly ever lose in Europe. So I have to have faith that that's true, and I have to have faith that, you know, no matter what team we put out against Freiburg, it's not going to be that night. We're going to know what we're doing. It's a game plan to go for him. So maybe I'm overthinking this, but I think that I'd rather us go, you know, full steam ahead against Fulham and then try our best against Freiburg. We're already through anyway. So if we have to play another couple of rounds, let's play another couple of rounds against hopefully a team that's going to be, you know, a couple of legs that's going to be remembered. So that's just me. But
yeah, like I say, there's valid arguments to be made both ways. What's your thinking on it, James?
For me, rotation is key, but there's two ways of looking at this. Yeah, West Ham can either attack this game against Fulham, try and get in the lead against Fulham, and try and shut up shop and see it out. Yeah, and get players off 70th minute, take Paqueta off, take Alvarez off, and go that way. If you want to rotate it, I'm not against the idea, but I do think West Ham need to prioritise the Freiburg game, because do you really want to be playing a big side in the round coming back? And if we get through that, then we've got an extra game. It's just not like it's not reasonable. Do you know what I mean? Not when you've started off the season with so many games. We're in the League Cup still. We've got that to look forward to against Liverpool. For me, get the job done against Freiburg. I can accept a draw at Fulham. Like if someone said to me right now, "Are you going to get a draw at Fulham away, but you're going to beat Freiburg?" And then you got Wolves on the Sunday. You beat them. You got 4 points at the last two games. You take that 2 points per game. It is what it is. So for me, I think rotation is key. I think Moyes has to rotate to a point. But if he changes 3 or 4 players, I'm all for it, because I think Fulham are there for the taking. I think they're a good side, but I think we're a better attacking side, and I think they're going to come onto us, and we're just going to counter attack them all day long. But the Freiburg game's important, and we've got to make sure we win that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the big questions is Zuma. I mean, you probably can't play him against Fulham, can you? Or at the very least, you know, he's going to have to be rested at some time. He's not going to play both. So the question is, I guess, I'll put it to you first, Luke. Would you rather play Zuma against Fulham and Mavropanos against Freiburg, or because Zuma played on Thursday night, would you rather just put in Mavropanos against Fulham and maybe even Mavropanos again against Freiburg and give Zuma a bit more of a rest, because Mavropanos could probably handle both those games?
I wouldn't have played Zuma last night because of the fact that he's been through with his family. I don't, you know, his head might not have been in the game, but he's clearly ever a professional. Didn't look out of place last night, considering he's the captain again. So I've given up where even his injury is concerned, because the way he walks around the pitch, I'm surprised he makes 90 minutes. I don't know how professional footballer like him said earlier. I said it absolutely baffles me. I think fair play to him. I admire him for doing it, because he must have been so many painkiller injections in that knee. It doesn't want thinking about. But I like Mavropanos, so I'll play him. I would probably play. I'd probably play Zuma against Fulham and Mavropanos in Europe. I think Mavropanos' game has been in Europe. So for me, I would do Zuma Sunday, Mavropanos Thursday. Just not worrying about it really. Just doing what feels right. I want to win the Fulham game, and I don't mind if you win the Freiburg game. That's just my opinion. So that's what I would do.
Yeah. Would you play Zuma Sunday, James?
Mavropanos, I agree with everything what Luke said. Mavropanos on Thursday night. Don't forget, he played in Germany last year, so you know how to deal with German sort of style of play and attack and everything. I think Mavropanos, he does need to come into a lot more games though. He can't just have one game and then he's out for like the League Cup game. I think he needs to come in, and I agree with Lou again. I was surprised Zuma played, especially with everything that's going on. But yeah, Zuma Sunday, Mav Thursday, and then back to Zuma on the following Sunday for me.
Yeah, Zuma could probably handle playing Sunday against Fulham. I think I would rest Zuma for the Freiburg game. I agree with you, and then he'd have a week's rest before he has to play against Wolves. So I agree on that one, but I would make some changes to the team for Fulham. Not wholesale, but I would make a couple of changes, definitely, I think. I wouldn't want the same 11 out, certainly not for 90 minutes anyway, like we did the other day. But I'd make a couple of changes, I think, for sure. I'd probably be willing to risk Mubama up top for the Fulham game, give him a run out. And like I say, James, I think you made a very important point, actually, that I completely agree with, in that Moyes has got to start utilising the substitutes now in his next.
100%.
He's going to have to start saving their legs a little bit. So I would be fine with a couple of changes. I don't know what the Cornet situation is. Why was he not on the squad? Does anybody know what's going on there?
Good question, mate.
I don't
Good
think
question.
he's not been in his good books since he went off to France, didn't he? Because he did that segment, I think, last season.
Yeah, but he hasn't been dropped from the squad though.
There's another reason why Cornet's not playing. Like, not getting even a sniff on the bet. Like, he's not even getting on in the match day squad. So, like, and when you're getting in front of Devine, listen, and Devine's a talented player, but Cornet's played like some big clubs. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know what it is why Cornet's not playing, but I do agree with what you said though, Tommy. I feel 4-0 wouldn't be a bad shout to play in this game. He played last season against Fulham away. Wouldn't be a bad shout for him to play again.
You could put Benny in, and
even Benny could come in. But when I look at the bench the other night, there's not a lot there. There really isn't. Like, there's not a lot. Like, when you sort of drag people off the bench, who is there to really change the game for us? There's not many. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you could go with Devine, but then you're sort of Fulham or no Burnley. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, I think the kind of changes I'll be looking at is maybe get Cornet on there, get Benny in. I'd maybe play Kerr as well for this one. Small changes, and then be looking to say, okay, I'm going to have to get certain key players off.
Yeah.
After like 65 minutes, maybe start making my first substitutions, to get key players off, maybe get Bowen out of there. I think Kudus, because of his age and his engine, can probably play both games or most of both games. Kudus looks very fit.
I think use him as much as you can, because you can go to AFCON, innit? So just get the most out of him that you can.
Yeah.
He can go off then.
Yeah. So I think it's just to play it smart, make a couple of changes to the starting 11. Maybe play Benny, play Cornet, maybe play Kerr. Give Mubama a start, or even just as long as he doesn't start Ings, and then hopefully, if we're in a decent position, you could, like you say, James, you could play 4-0 in this game, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we should still have a decent enough side there that can challenge Fulham.
I think there's two ways of looking at it, Tommy. Yeah, you can either start with a stronger side and pull them off after an hour, or you start with a weaker side and bring them on for the last 20 minutes. That it's either which way you want.
Them, yeah. But I think Moyes is definitely going to have to do something. He can't do what he did at Tottenham again. He can't. I mean, we made one substitution in the 89th minute. He can't keep doing that. The players are going to he's going to run them into the ground.
I think it was an hard one with the substitutes against Spurs, because where West Ham got in front the other day, like, if you start making loads of subs, you're just changing the whole dynamic of the team. Like, I think one sub that come on, I think it's 4-0's come on for Kudus, I think it was. Yeah. Other than that, like, everyone else was doing their jobs really and doing them pretty well, especially in that second half. So I do agree though. He's got to use his bench. Like, that's the main thing. Like, even if you do start a strong team on Sunday, if he starts a strong team, I'm all for it. But at least bring on three or four players, and just change it up. Like Ben Rama, 4-0, Devine. Even take Zuma off if you have to. Like, there's no harm in it. Like, you got Mavropanos.
Well, like I said, I think Mavropanos is perfectly capable of playing against Fulham and Freiburg.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because one thing about Moyes since he's been manager is we have not had that many injuries, and I think he sort of played this team for the last sort of 2 years where like you think of it in the long term of, he needs to get dropped because he won't be fit, but these players just seem like they keep going and going and going and going and going. I know obviously performance drops at certain levels, but we're saying drop him for this game, drop him for that game, but our players don't really get dropped. Not really.
But what it is, Luke, I said this earlier on, funny enough, yeah? It ain't so much being dropped, because there's two ways of looking at it, yeah? There's people who get dropped, and then there's people then it's rotating. Like, do you know what I mean? People get.
It doesn't really get the same.
Yeah.
I use
Yeah.
there.
But you see, but I mean, I'm also thinking beyond Sunday and Thursday, Luke. I mean, we've got a lot of games in December.
My point was going to be is that he's never really used his subs ever, even in the the last since he's been manager. There's been that running thing for the last 3 years.
But I think he's going to have to, though. Look at the games we've got in December. It's not just about Fulham and Freiburg.
I hope you're right. I'd love nothing more than to see players that aren't playing come in, but that's just me being a bit,
But I think we can negotiate December successfully just by tweaking the team. I'm not advocating for wholesale changes in any game, but you can tweak the team. You can make 3 changes without completely disrupting everything, and you can also use your substitutions wisely. Get players off at the right time. Give them a little break, and you can manage the players through this period if you do it right. And my hope is that Moyes will do that.
See, the problem you've got, is that if the longer you leave it with these players, when we do need them and we do rely on them, are they going to be ready for the challenge? Do you know what I mean? That's why they need to be playing minutes. You need to be giving them minutes. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if we're playing, for instance, after the Wolves game, we've got Liverpool, Manchester United, and then it's Christmas, and after that it's Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you've got West Ham have got to start. Well, not so much West Ham. Moyes has got to start rotating. He just has to, like, because eventually these players are going to get burnt out. And the last thing we want coming towards the end of the year, we've got Man United, we've got Arsenal in there, and then we've got Brighton. 3 teams who are going to be like decent on the break, counter-attacking side. Some of them, like, it's just he needs to rotate. The problem is some of the players that we've got after what we see in Serbia the other week. Some of them ain't even fit to be even starting. Some of them, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'll be very interested to see what the team is on Sunday, actually. I suspect, like you, Moyes is going to go very strong against Fulham again. I think we might see 2 changes, perhaps, but I don't think probably much more than that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he handles December, because it's a hectic month. Luke, how are you feeling about Sunday, this Fulham game? Look, I know they've had a great result. They've spanked Forest, but overall this season, Fulham have been average, I would say. They're an okay side. Not bad, but not great either. There are points to be had there. And are you confident going to the Cottage?
I'm confident now because we've got that result and the way we've done it, because I think it proves that even without fantastic, attacking threat, we've still managed to get the win because we've caused the opposition to make mistakes. And I think we've got that in us. I think Moyes needs to put some, confidence in the players as well, saying, like, you can do this, you can press and be just as good defensively as you are going forward. I think we can beat any team on their day, and I truly mean that. And I know.
Well, look, I mean, their game up at Anfield. I mean, they were so unlucky to lose that one 4-3.
This is my point. Is the fact that I think Marco Silva's got them playing really, really good. They're really good. They're a good team. Believe me, they're no mugs, and we need to take them seriously and not just consider them a mid-table Premier League team or whatever you want to call it, because we've done that.
There's very few mugs in the Premier League,
No, exactly. That's another good point. I am confident, but I haven't been confident in the last sort of 4 games because I don't think our performances have been great. I think Soucek's saved us with 3 games to go, but that's fine margins, and that's how you win games. But I think if we go to Fulham with confidence, that's given us after last night. I've got absolutely no. I'm not saying I'd take a draw, but I think this whole thing of being unbeaten in how many games will be good for us, and I think that I'd love to see us get a win, but I think a score draw might be good. But I think we've got to be confident in ourselves. We've got to go there and we've got to take the game to them a little bit in the right ways. It won't be a pushover, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm confident based on how last night ended. It showed that we have got it in us to be a really good team when we want to be. So hopefully that carries on Sunday.
I'll hold your feet to the fire then. Give us a score prediction.
I'll go 2-1. 2-1
West Ham, presumably.
2-1 West Ham. Yeah, 2-1 West Ham. Yeah. Bowen definitely getting a goal and keeping up the record.
Oh, I pray he does. Make it 8. He'll be in second place out on his own then. James, how are you feeling about Sunday before you give us a prediction?
Tricky one, mate. It's one game that I just don't know how it's going to go. Do you know what I'm saying? After last night's game, no one would have thought at half time that we was going to get a result from Spurs, and then even thinking about the Fulham game. Last season we played Fulham and it was the most boring, depressing game that we've probably all seen. Like, it was an own goal. It's actually the game that saved Moyes' job, really. Do you know what I'm saying? And Fulham are going to come forward this year. Right, they are. Right, they're playing pretty well at the minute. Obviously, the Liverpool and the Forest game. But that's going to suit us. It all depends on personnel for me. If he goes strong in this game, we beat Fulham. As simple as that. Because they will come forward. We'll have Kudus, Bowen on the break. James will press in this team. He likes a goal against Fulham. For me, we can do him. But the only thing is, it's us that I worry about. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes we just don't know what West Ham's going to turn up. And we see it last night. The Jackal Night of West Ham was there for everyone to see, like the first half and to the second half. So I don't know. I think this is a banker draw, though. For me, if I was going to say a solid prediction, I'd go with a banker draw. I just don't think Moyes is going to. I think Moyes is going to have to change it. He's going to have to change personnel, especially after the struggle last night in that game, because that was a high intensity game. To get them players to go from that to Fulham in 72 hours is just not going to happen, mate, for me. So I think he's going to make changes, and I think that will show. And I'm going to go 1-0. I think we get a draw there.
Yeah, this is one of those games. Fulham like to play a bit of football, like it quite open, and I know that's completely anathema to Moyes. But because Fulham are like that, I know he'll say, right, we'll just keep it tight and we'll try and hit them on the break. We'll do what we always do. But this is one of those games where I just think we're just a better team than Fulham. And I'd love to see him just let the handbrake off for this one, to let the players really go out and have a go in this one. Because I genuinely believe if we go out with a strong side, which I believe he'll put out, and actually get after Fulham and have a go at them, I think we beat them. I just do. I think we've just got better players than they've got. We do. They don't have someone, in my opinion, on the level of Kudus or Paqueta or Bowen. I think we could potentially tear them apart in attack if we let players get after them, be in their faces, press high up the pitch. If they want to try and play through it, let them play through it. But I think Fulham are there for the taking because we've got better players than they do. Yes, they play nice football. Yes, they're capable of scoring a couple of goals. But I just would love to see us in this game. I think Fulham are quite flaky. Like, they can be got at, Fulham. They're quite open. And I just want to see us go there and assert the fact that we're a better team than them, and just show that confidence.
You will know on Sunday what David Moyes prioritises. Because if he goes with a rotated side, he knows that Europe's the main thing. Yeah, if he goes with a strong side, then that just says it all. He just says, right, he's prepared to do it whatever he can in both competitions to get the job done. I agree with you though. We've got better players. Well, we've got a better squad than them, right, to a point. But I don't know. For me, I just look at us and I think we're going to have to sacrifice one game. I don't think we can continue doing the same thing all the time, because come Manchester United on the 23rd, I think it is, we're going to be wrecked. Just completely wrecked.
Yeah, I agree with you, James, on the score. I think it's got draw written all over it.
Yeah.
I think probably 1-1. It'll finish something like 1-1 because we always concede, but we always score. Um, so 1-1 sounds about right to me. I hope Luke's right. I hope we go there, turn them over. Like I say, Fulham, you never quite know what you get with Fulham. Some games they look really good, and other games they look actually quite poor and really, really average on other days. And
Yeah.
so hopefully we don't get the really good Fulham on the day that they're not clicking. But yeah, I think about 1-1 for that game, which I think would be okay. I think, given that we've won at Tottenham, I think a draw wouldn't be a bad result. So yeah, I'll go 1-1 on that one. So I'm going to leave it there, chaps. Really appreciate your time and for giving us your opinions as always. In the live chat as well, thanks to all of you for joining. Appreciate you. And if you're watching back, please hit the like button. It helps out the show. More people see it. And, we got to say, just buzzing after last night. I said to Luke at the top of the show, James, that when it comes to Tottenham, when that final whistle goes, if we've beat them, I forget about how we've beat them. I actually don't give a shit how we've beat them, just that we have beaten Tottenham. And that just gives me up absolutely fucking no end. Would we have loved to have done it in more style and with a better performance? Yeah. But ultimately, it's playing Tottenham for me. It's the same kind of vibe as when you're in any kind of cup final. It's their job. You won, just win the fucking thing. However, you just fucking win it. And we did that last night.
What's concerning though in the first half, though, Tommy, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I'm going to be honest. Like when people were saying it to me, and when you're watching it and you're seeing us just camped, literally, I've never seen us like that. I've seen us be defensive. Don't get me wrong. I'm not naive to that. But to be camped and have like they had 90% possession in the first 10 minutes, and it was like, wow, like what's going on here, sort of thing. But I've got to be honest. I don't know what happened at half time. I really don't. Like half time, they come out and it was like they just transformed into this side that cared all of a sudden. Like all of them, just like their levels went from like 1 up to about a 9 straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? And
what do you think that was, James?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know, mate, because I even said it on E20. I say it's like bipolar FC. You just don't know what you're going to get. You just, I'm sorry, you just don't. Like when I looked at us in the first half, Luke, yeah, I could not believe what I was seeing. I was disgusted to a point because we done nothing in that first half. And let's be honest, Tottenham weren't firing on all cylinders. If they would have been 3 or 4-0 up, and we would have been out. They would have been out of sight. Yeah. The only thing that they done wrong in the whole of that game was they didn't put us away. Like, but the second half, we come out, and the moment we kicked off, and I think the first ball down the line, I went, these are on it straight away. Like just a completely different side. Like they had more aggression.
Yeah, to be honest, like I think there's probably I can't explain the first half. To be honest, it was shocking, but I think it's quite simple. I think it was just, and look, everyone knows I'm not a big fan of Moyes. I don't like the style of play, but to be honest, I think Moyes got them in and just gave them a complete change of attitude for the second half. Like we started to press them higher up the pitch. We started to get after them. I think Moyes told them, look, we can't play like that again second half. We can't just sit back and have nothing going forward. We have to be more positive, more in their faces, closing down. And we pressed them, James, much hhigher up the pitch immediately in the second half. We got more players forward when we were in possession.
Yeah, but there was more. I
think it was just nothing more than a complete change of attitude. I think Moyes got it completely wrong in the first half, and I think he knew he had gotten it completely wrong by sitting back too much and defending on the edge of our own box. We played a low block in the first half. It was a disaster. It wasn't working. Second half, he told them go out and press them much higher up the pitch, get in their faces. They started coughing the ball up. We started winning possession in more advanced positions. It actually led to them making 2 horrendous errors to gift us 2 goals because we pressed them much higher up the pitch. We were letting them just play out at their ease in the first half. I think it was just a change of tactic, change of attitude, and that was all it was.
I don't know, mate. I don't know about that. I understand what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But for me, like that first half was, I've never seen West Ham like that. Never. I've never seen us. Like,
We've had horror shows, James. Come on, man.
Nah, not Cant.
Last season we had horror show games.
I know. I'm talking about this
were
season.
Absolutely horrific.
I've never seen us this season, even against Manchester City. Yeah,
That was our worst this season. This season
Right.
it was our worst, but we've played like that before.
That first half against Spurs was the worst first half I've seen all season. Like, where you just couldn't get out, couldn't do nothing. And I understand what you're saying about the second half, but I think Moyes gave him an absolute bollocking at half time and said, like, what's going on? Because there's players like Paqueta, who for me was a disgrace in the first half. Second half, completely different player. Alvarez, same thing. Just like he's like a statue in the first half, running around like an headless chicken, but didn't know who to pick up or what. Paul Prowse, first half, running around, but not getting nowhere near any of the Spurs
They were all
players.
playing much deeper.
Yeah.
He
But then
pushed Ward-Prowse further up as well, second half.
I noticed that with Ward Prowse going a bit further up. But for me personally, it seemed like that they had like some sort of an epiphany to say, right, this is what it is. You're playing against Spurs at White Hart Lane. You do know what this means to the fans here, like, and they come out and they give it everything, and I was so proud of them. I was proud of them second half. I thought excellent performance in the second half. The first half, you could say it's bad. You've seen bad last season. I've never seen us that bad this season. Like, not like that. Not like that.
Well, that was our worst. Yeah, that was our worst performance in that first half this season, no doubt. Yeah, it was horrible. But anyway, look. Thankfully, second half we picked it up and got the win. So that's the main thing when you're playing Tottenham. But listen, we're definitely going to go now. Really appreciate it, guys. And as always, come on, you Iron.